Hi, this is Davida Sapphire.
Hey, this is Star Shadow, and welcome to Lego Geeks here on our brand new channel. And welcome to the first episode of our brand new show called The Top 10. Now, this year marks the 20th anniversary of one of our favorite shows, Stargate SG-1. So, in honor of that, for our first video on our new channel and of our new show, we're going to be counting down the top 10 best Stargate SG-1 episodes, in our opinion.
And coming in at number 10 is Reckoning.
What I like about this episode is, well, first of all, for those who don't know, spoiler alerts for every episode on the list. And second of all, for this episode, basically, it's Dan gets captured by Replicator Carter, and he has to torture. She finds some information about him, and they find out there's a weapon at the car capable of destroying them.
Which they're finding out that, which also Teal'c is going over there to capture because that's the first place where the slavery started.
Yeah, and it's also it's controlled by Bull, who, you know, he's busy fighting the Replicator, so Teal'c uses the opportunity to steal it, to take it back.
One of the things I love about this episode is that everybody's converging on Takara without even knowing that that's like the most important spot ever.
It's kind of like, I mean, I'm pretty sure, and it's also revealed that Bull is working for Anubis.
Which is kind of shocking because you're like, with his pride and everything he has, you don't expect him to be working for Anubis.
So, we're sure Anubis, you know, you get the suspicion that Anubis knows the significance of it, and he even told him to go back to the car and take it back. But Bull delays because Bull, you know, doesn't want to be serving him. He wants the Replicators gone. I
kind of love the interaction between him and Anubis. Because you can, like, sometimes Anubis will say something, he'll roll his eyes like idiot. He'll turn around.
And I also love the playoff between Jacob Carter and Selmac and Bull, because they're forced to work together to reprogram the weapon and destroy the Replicators.
One of my favorite scenes was when Carter thanked him and he got that
he's a little thing.
Touch, he got touched, like, oh, you know, it's love.
Yeah, but I love this episode because, you know, again, you get to see, you know, Bull's one of my favorite characters on the show. Yeah. We get to see him interact with Tucker again. You know, he's worked with SG-1 before, but, you know, there's like bigger stakes, basically.
Funny part is when you see him in this episode, you can't figure out if he's hot or disgusting.
Like and then you know, it's also a nice wrap up to the Replicator story arc. You know, they fought them since season 3, I think it was, and you know, it's been all, you know, they've kind of one of the background bad guys second to the gold for the whole show, and I was kind of see that wrapped up.
One of the things I do love about how they showed Bull's character in here, you know, Cliff Simon, the actor who plays it, I love how Cliff Simon portrayed him. Like, he gave him more emotional, like, tone. Like, you wouldn't expect that from a Gould. Like, you can see that he was, like, sworn his arrogance, so it's cool.
Yeah, because, you know, when you see, like, Ra or Apophis, I mean, Apophis or, you know, Kronos or the other system lords, it kind of has that, like, aloof arrogance they have when they don't. You can tell he has that, but I love how he plays it a different way.
I love how he has, you know, he was going to visit Jack at the SGC, you know, with the hologram thing. I know how Jack reacted toward him. It was like hilarious. He like left him waiting for hours.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And
you can see him swan his pride, and I love that.
That's another thing about the episode too, is the interactions we see between Jack and Bull.
What am I?
If you see the first episode where he's introduced, you know, and season 6 episode of Abyss, he tortures Jack. It was kind of nice to see. You know, that,
Jack getting back.
Yeah, he kind of like resentful for that in a way, but at the same time, you know, he has to work with him. So
I love the way Jack gets back at him a lot. He gets back at him in such stupid ways, but like leaving him just sitting there, or just ignoring him, or, you know, telling him something mean.
Yeah.
Not mean, but, you know, like very passive aggressive. It's kind of hilarious to see how he reacts to him after he tortured him, but he has to work with him. One of my favorite things too from the episode and stuff is that it's an ending to the Replicators, but it's also a starting for the Free Jaffa.
Yeah, because it was nice to see, you know, after 8 seasons of seeing them fight, you know, against the System Lords, it was kind of fun to see them finally win a big victory and finally get on their way to the freedom they were after for all those years.
It was awesome to see the battle scenes with Gould and with Bull and the Replicators.
Yeah.
Kind of love how Teal'c was fighting Bull, but then he had to turn around and fight the Replicators to help Bull out, but he was torn because he really didn't want to do that. He wanted to see them destroy each other. Yeah,
it was wonderful. It was good to see it wrap up that Replicator storyline and stuff like that. And it was, you know, fun to see, you know, the end of even the human form Replicators who came in season 4, I think it was, season 5. You know, you thought they would be a bigger story, but, you know, I kind of want to use them more. But it was kind of nice to see this it all wrapped up nicely. Coming in at number 9, we have Heroes Part 1 and 2. This episode is about basically a documentary crew gets authorization from the president to go and document what goes on at the SGC, even though it might not be released right away. With the character Bregman, who goes to, he's basically the leader of the documentary crew. He goes and starts recording everything that goes on at the SGC. And it's interesting to see that because when the episode opens up, it opens up as a shot from like a documentary type style. And it's kind of nice to see. I kind of wish that more of the episode would have been that way, but it bounces back and forth between a documentary type style and the normal point of view basically that we're used to.
I love it though because you don't exactly know what's going on. I mean, they do show here and there what's going on. Like they show one of the SG teams off world, and one of the what is it called? The thing that came. The probe, yeah. The probe came and they shut it down and stuff, and that there's going to be this big battle, but they don't really show it. They only show a little bit of the team, but then they go back.
Yeah,
So then when stuff really gets serious, like right at like to be continued, the part 1, where it ends, you don't know what's going on, so it frustrates you because like you want to know what's going on. You just see it like from their point of view.
Yeah, we kind of see like we're kind of getting the same amount of information that the documentary crew gets since they're still restricted. They're not knowing everything that's going on with this you see at the time, and the way they would see it is the way we get to see it. And I actually also really like it about the episode too, because it does get to the cliffhanger is does keep it at your seat, and the episode does keep you suspenseful, especially in the second part.
It's kind of frustrating because you feel like instead of going on the adventures with them like you always do, you're having to be like a plebe, not being able to see because you're not the fortunate one who's authorized to see it.
They do show some battle scenes, and then there is a shot, in the second part where Jack O'Neill gets shot by a staff blast.
Yeah, and I honestly thought they were going to kill Jack, seeing that they had no boundaries with killing Daniel. Yeah,
and I love how that's played out because, it just shows him getting shot, then it just cuts back to the SGC, and we see it again from the point of view, like the point of view of the documentary crew, in which, we don't know if Jack's okay, we don't know, we know someone died because Carter comes in crying. But we get the same amount of information that he does. We don't know who's injured, we don't know who died, and that also keeps the episode suspenseful in a way to.
But the character of Brigman kind of upsets you a little bit because you think he's trying to be a vulture, but then at the end you see that he's just trying to show the truth. He's just trying to, how do you say? He's trying to just. Tell from his heart.
Yeah, he's trying to show the people the sacrifices the SGC makes to keep the planet safe, basically, and it's
which is kind of hard to I say hard for the SG people and the team and stuff to understand that from him because they think he's just there to try and be famous.
Yeah. And then when we finally find out that that it was Dr. Fraser who died, that kind of hits you more because it hits the character of Bregman really hard, and it kind of hits you the same way because you didn't know anything of who was injured or anything, so you didn't expect her to be a character who
that's kind of that made me sad because in the you get really attached to this character. You see her almost in every episode, unlike the Tok'ra Martooth, who dies because I mean just somebody who's like Stargate's daily life type thing. And she has a kid from another world named Cassandra. And she's, she has this kid and she's going to die. So who's taking care of her? What's going to happen to her?
Yeah, I mean,
they don't even show what happens to her. She's just like written out.
Yeah, I mean, I like this episode for one because it was also the first major death of a central character since Daniel Jackson in season 5. But he doesn't really count because he came back.
Yeah, I know that was what really gets you is that when Daniel dies, he ascends, so he's going to be back sometime.
Yeah, you'll see him in some form, and then he actually does come back in human form later. But we don't get to see her again until season 10 when an alternate universe version of her happens to come through.
Yeah, but we didn't know that, so that's what really hit you is that you knew Daniel was going to be back sometime. But her, they made her death where it's like permanent.
Yeah, so
she wasn't going to be back. I mean, you didn't know about the alternate universe.
Yeah, you've seen other SG personnel die. Some Jaffa characters die, some Tucker characters die, but they were just like 1 or 2 episodes here and there. Like Martooth was only 3 episodes, 4 episodes.
Yeah.
I think 5 episodes.
Kowalski.
Yeah, Kowalski was just in the first episode only. So you don't really get attached or a feel for these characters. So they weren't really major deaths. I mean,
Even Daniel, even though Daniel, you were sad at his death, he went out kind of cool. I mean, you know he was going to be in the universe somewhere doing something.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice to see that, finally put in an episode. Like I said, we've seen death of characters before, but it was kind of nice to see that, the stakes are high and the threat is very real for the core guys to finally go. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting to see. But the cool part about her death was she died saving the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy got to live and save his daughter, so that kind of made it.
And it was cute that they actually named the baby after her.
Yeah, but all of those good episodes, one of my favorites.
One of the I think things that gets you was the speech Teal'c wrote for Carter to say.
Yeah, that was nice. And they do show a little bit at the end. But I would like to have seen more of the guy's documentary. Would have been cool, if they released it as a special feature or as an online, as a webisode or something. But unfortunately now they probably can't do that. The actors are they don't look the same. Their schedules are different, so it would have been nice.
But they could write a storyline to where that comes up.
Yeah, but then they don't actually have that much film, so I have to go film new stuff for it.
I think the thing I loved was when they finally got Jack.
But
you didn't even get to see what Jack
said.
At
the end, the episode ends with him finally getting an interview with Jack O'Neill, but then it just ends. You don't get to see Jack's answers.
Which makes me wonder: do you think Teal'c ever said anything?
Probably not. And Teal'c for his interview is just completely silent. So that's
just staring at the camera.
It's funny to see how each of them reacts under the pressure of being on camera. Basically, it's interesting to see. And Carter just starts, going off a techno babble, science babble. So it's interesting to see how each one works, how each one reacts. Yeah.
Coming in at number 8 is Urgo.
This was another episode I really liked. It's a bit more funnier than the last ones. The last two we just had.
It's my favorite one. I have too many favorites, but yeah.
I think your favorite, not, I don't want to say outright funny, but comedic episode in a way. And it wasn't done stupidly, but it was done just right to be funny. And it was kind of nice to see Dom DeLuise on there. Yeah. He's actually the dad of Peter and Dave, the two producers and directors of the show. So it's kind of to see him, brought on as to act as in a comedic role.
I kind of love that on Stargate they brought a lot. The DeLuises brought a lot of their family on. Like David DeLuise brought his brother and
Peter, and his father
and stuff like that, or vice versa. Peter brought David, but it's really fun to see. They put their family in there. Like,
it's kind of see
it's kind of cool because this isn't the only episode where they actually put a family member.
Yeah, he was one Carter got involved. I don't remember his character name at that point. Well, it's kind of interesting to see him on screen too, because we personally, if he did anything else, we didn't see it, but we haven't seen him on screen since he was Dagger on Sequest.
Oh yeah, I know.
So it's kind of to see him return to the screen.
But yeah, it was fun.
I'm sorry, I forgot. One more stream to another DeLuise.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's fun to see the interaction with the team and Urgo, which is.
Oh right, in the episode basically. They send them out to a planet. They see what's transmitted back is the image of a nice beach scene. SG-1 goes through, and in their point of view, they go through and step right back. But they've discovered they've been going for 12 hours, 15 hours like that.
And so there was a planet in their brain that was so little that
Yeah,
Fraser could find it.
Yeah, and then they find out that it's actually a artificial intelligence who manifests himself as Urgo, which is Dr. Louise.
Which is kind of fun because he starts making, being annoying, making things happen, messing with their taste buds so the stuff tastes good. Yeah. And there's one scene with Teal'c where they're all drinking coffee and Daniel's like, oh, this tastes like cinnamon, it's so good. So Teal'c just goes over there, grabs a coffee pot, and just drinks it. He just chugs it, and they're like, wasn't that hot? He's like, extremely. That's so funny.
That was one of the best scenes from the episode.
You're like, I'm pretty sure Jaffa don't drink coffee, but he just goes over there and just like chugs.
The whole pot.
And it was like hot. You're like.
But yeah, that was a funny episode. You get to see. It wasn't. Again, like I said, it was a comedic episode. So there was like no danger. Like in some of the other episodes, like the other guys, for instance, that was a bit of a comedic episode. Yeah. There was some danger in that episode. Like our upgrades again, it was somewhat funny, but it was they also went on a mission. So it's kind of to see like this episode, see them dealing with this on Earth. They're not off being SG-1. They're stuck on base under quarantine. So it's kind of funny to see too.
He kind of reminds you of that annoying uncle you would have.
Yeah, he was those kind of shit. Yeah.
So
Carter thinks he reminds of one of her uncles. Because it was interesting to see.
It's funny to see like Teal'c supposedly doesn't know row, row, row your boat, and he starts making them all sing it. So he knows the words even though he's never sung it before. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
interesting
fun.
to see. There's also the one scene where Ursula says something rude about Fraser. Fraser like says, she gets like kind of offended and asks what he said. She can't see or hear him. And up to this point, too, they're not even really sure they believe what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see
it's funny
Fraser
how
react that way.
It's funny how Fraser believes them, but Hammond doesn't. He's just like, I think they're just crazy.
Yeah, he thinks they've been, compromised, or they can be controlled. He does suggest things like he makes Carter spill hot coffee on herself.
And then he makes Teal'c almost
try to defibrillate
her.
But it's not, he's not an evil character or a bad character. He just does it because he wants to learn.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice way to display too.
He wants to learn, and he gets attached to the team too. He kind of starts seeing them like family.
Yeah, and by the end of the episode, we realize that his creator, who actually is exactly like him, actually accidentally created an artificial life form. So he's just a tiny implant. He's actually sentient and alive and self-aware. So it's kind of interesting to see that also develop throughout the episode.
Yeah.
And at number 7, we have another two-parter, and that is Dolinar's Memories and the Devil You Know. This episode, basically, they find out that Jacob Carter has been captured by Sokar, who's playing the role of the devil. So he has a moon that's basically his version of hell, and Jacob Carter was sent there. Now, back earlier in the season, in the Line of Duty, Carter becomes a host to a symbiote, and they think it's a ghoul, but they actually find a talker named Dolinar. So Carter gets her memories that they need to go break out Jacob Carter, because they discover that she's the only one to ever escape from that prison moon.
Which was interesting, because I love the interaction between her, Carter and Martouf, or what's his name?
Martouf, Lantash.
Lantash.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that, because she has his Dolinar's memories, roll credits, and she has her feelings for him too, but at the same time she's dealing with her own personal things. Obviously her attraction or caring for Jack at the same time. It looks like
which kind of torments her.
Yeah, you can kind of see that it looks like it's kind of holding her back from actually acting on Dolinar's feelings for Martouf and Lantash. So that's kind of another interesting thing to see.
Which, I don't know, maybe she should have acted on it, because she's in the military, she could never go with Jack anyway.
But later anyway, Martouf dies when he becomes one of the assassins.
It's kind of sad, but, I mean, one of the things that kind of gets you is that how you find out how Dolinar escaped. And it really, it really punches Martouf in the heart, because he realizes what she had to do to escape. But all she was thinking about was getting back to him, and he just feels bad for her having to do that, feel like she had to sacrifice to do that.
It's pretty interesting in the end.
He's also tormented by the fact that she got in that situation.
It is also one that has a pretty good cliffhanger too, because in the end, in the cliffhanger, we actually discover that Apophis is still alive and is the first prime of the guy who controls the prison, basically the prison warden. Anybody who watched the last episode,
Bynor.
Yeah, Bynor. But anyone who watched the episodes, I don't know what season it was or the name, but we know that he came to Earth seeking asylum, so they sent his body back to Sokar. So I was kind of interested to see that, resolved a bit, to see how that played out. So I was interested to see Return of Apophis. I was interested to see Sokar, because he's not playing a god, he's playing the devil.
Yeah.
So that's
it's kind of really interesting.
Yeah, so that's interesting to finally see him, because in the first one I think it was with the Unas, no, not the first one, it's the other one with Simon and the guy with the ring. I don't know the name to that one, but
where
the Unas has been a demon. Yeah, that's also interesting to see. We see he's mentioned there when you're meant to see him until this episode. That's also interesting to finally see him.
Which I kind of love how his his Jaffa look.
Yeah,
because it does look like really.
It's just like from Doom or something. When you think of hell demons, I think of Doom, and it does have a very Doom look with the torn shoulder pads.
Yeah.
But
it's
also it's also fun to see Teal'c's interaction with the Talker on his own.
Yeah.
Because he
can't
be sent down to the prison planet to help rescue Jack.
Yeah, he's got
Jacob, so he's stuck with the Talker himself.
So he's gotta be on a ship waiting for them to try and rescue them, but then he gets vital information that he needs to bring to the Tok'ra. So he leaves them, but he's coming back for them because he knows he's got this information, and he thinks that maybe the Tok'ra can help him. The really sad part is that you see that he has more heart than the Tok'ra, which is kind of like.
Yeah, but at the same point, you kind of see where the Tok'ra are coming from, but it's kind of nice to see that, the bond between SG-1. He'll do anything to save SG-1.
His friends, yeah. And there's a scene where he goes to Tok'ra, and the Tok'ra finally decide they're going to blow up the planet because they can't. Yeah, the moon. Because they can't have Sokar taking over because he's getting too powerful. So the Tok'ra holds a gun on him, which really pisses Tilk off. It's really funny you don't piss Tilk off. And
he launches the weapon.
What?
He actually holds the gun and launches the weapon.
But then they get there, the guy launches the weapon, and he's gonna hold the gun on Tilk again, and Tilk gets angry and pulls it away from him and throws him.
Shoves him in the cargo bay.
Closes it. And the Tok'ra's freaking out because he's like, oh god, I'm gonna die, and then he finally rescues SG-1 because SG-1 finally gets out.
Yeah.
And he has to catch him in a beam because, the
matter stream from
the rings. And he finally catches them, and then Tok'ra tells him that to go. He was like, wow, you're a genius. I didn't know it was going to work. He's like, neither did I. So he was like prepared to die if he wasn't going to get his friends back.
Yeah. And
so that's really adorable to see his loyalty.
That's another thing, too, we kind of see in another episode on our list, and that's unending, when he asks what's going to happen if he showed it, but we'll get back to that later. But the annoying part about this episode is the end of the second part. And that's when they show Apophis on Sokar's, planet in his palace, but then that storyline was never resolved.
Because that means that Apophis took over Sokar's fleet and everything.
Part of Sokar's fleet was a story when the moon blew up, but Apophis still got the major part of it. And I kind of wish that story would have been wrapped up. It might have been wrapped up in the books or the comics. We haven't read those yet. All of them yet.
But it would have been nice to actually see the episode wrapping that up, just like they did the Replicators.
Yeah, but
because if they were going to do that, they should have never brought it back here. They should have left him wrapped up the way it was.
Or they should have killed him at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But, it kind of opened up a storyline that was never really resolved. And that part kind of annoys me because I would have loved to have seen that result. I would have loved to have seen, SG-1 go up against Apophis one last time with, Sokar's fleet behind him, because that would have been more of a challenge than what he presented before. Because I know he goes up against him in the end of season 1 with just 2 ships.
Yeah.
So
I did love to see some past between Carter and Jacob, which I wish we would have had more of.
Yeah, because then we get to see why she's kind of standoffish with him a bit when the character's first introduced. But yeah, I would kind of like to see more of that. You're right about that.
Yeah, and then we already knew about Jackson and stuff, so that wasn't a surprise. But it was nice to see some of like the past and stuff. And then they showed Daniel's past, how he was handling when his wife died, and how Jack was there to comfort him, even though
it was twisted
to
get information
trying to get information by Apophis. So it was really
it was still a good episode, just that one annoying point, but it was one of the good ones of that season.
Coming in number 6 is There, But for the Grace of God.
In this episode, SG-1 travels to a planet. This is early in season 1. It's one of the last ones of season 1. SG-1 travels to a planet. They're about to leave, and Daniel Jackson discovers this artifact. It was like a mirror.
Which he touches and then finds out it throws him into an alternate universe.
Yeah, and
he finds out it's an alternate universe.
And this is the alternate universe. Carter is not with the SGC. Hammond is not general. He's a lieutenant, I think it was.
Yeah. Carter's engaged to Jack.
Yeah, Jack is general, which is kind of some interesting plot point. They go back to 2008, making Jack general. And Earth's under attack by the Goa'uld, so they never, everything that happened in season 1 never really happened.
They never brought, Daniel refused to come in, they tried to recruit him, but he refused.
They never met Tilk.
Yeah.
So the victories they had in the first season, never happened in that universe.
And apparently Tilk was one of the biggest keys for them to
not be defeated
for everything to be going right the way it is.
Yeah, but one reason why this episode is on our list and why I like it is because it introduces us to parallel universes. So it was the first time in the whole series that we were introduced to parallel universes. And that plot point is coming to play in several episodes down the line, and even Stargate Atlantis episodes. But that's kind of where it started it all, and started SG-1.
Yeah. I just love the fact that they that everything's different. That you think about it. What if there's a parallel universe with me in it? That's different.
Yeah.
There's so much things that this episode kind of makes you think about.
Yeah, it was interesting to see an alternate storyline too, like you know, you're used to SG-1 winning the day all the time, so it's kind of nice to see one where they kind of lose.
Yeah.
Like a what-if type situation, a what-if type story.
And it's kind of sad that Daniel tries to get them to go to Chula and, you know, help them out, you know, maybe to get Teal'c's loyalty. But instead they send a bomb and kill everybody there. So when they do finally try to talk to Teal'c, he's so upset because they just killed his family.
Yeah, which leads to him killing Jack. So, you know, Jack dies in that episode. Actually, everybody dies in the episode. But it's also interesting to see Catherine Langford working with the Stargate program because, you know, and the Torment of Tantalus a few episodes earlier, you know, she retires with Ernest. So, you know, in the movie, she was the one who basically brought Daniel on. So it's interesting to see, you know, what would happen if Daniel said no and she's still working there too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this episode's so sad but at the same time it's kind of cool because he's able to come back to this universe and save it. And
and I also think that episode has one of the best endings of, you know, it's one of the best endings of the entire series, where, you know, it just ends. It's not really a cliffhanger, but it's a good ending when, you know, he just comes through and says they're coming, Jack.
They do contain the storyline and, you know, politics and all that, which kind of frustrates me because they see that he's shot and they still think he's kind of crazy about what he saw. They think it was a delusion or something.
Yeah.
Which you're frustrated because you're like, no, this happened.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I kind of feel the episode politics kind of shouldn't have fallen where it did.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not discussing that in this video, but I feel like that video that episode should not have fallen where it did, because it kind of...
Because that was a part of that storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I feel like it kind of splits the story unnecessarily.
Yeah. Because,
you know, the Ever for the Grace of God could start the story, and it continues, you know, with apostles coming to Earth in a ship. Yeah. Which I kind of feel like politics probably could have been shifted over, or taken out completely.
The frustrating thing about that is that they almost didn't listen to Daniel, like the team.
They didn't. They had to disobey orders to get to...
But the team kind of took they kind of had a mistrust and not really wanted to go, but, you know, they know this is Daniel, they know he won't be lying, so they finally went. I kind of get, like, they almost didn't listen to Daniel.
And the good thing I like about that, though it kind of adds to the story, is that it's still the first year. Like, they didn't actually they can trust Daniel yet. You know, they still haven't gotten that bond, which, you know, we kind of don't really start seeing information of until within the Serpent's Grasp and Serpent's Lair episodes, and when we kind of start seeing, you know, the formation, solidifying that bond that they get. So it kind of makes sense, but it is upsetting.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's really interesting and stuff. And this episode makes you think. I mean, I kind of lumped in politics and all those other ones into one.
Yeah, because they were for the Grace of God, politics within the Serpent's Grasp and Serpent's Snare, kind of all tell one. You know, like it's like a giant four-parter, even though.
I mean, I know it's not on the list, but it kind of.
Yeah, I mean, even coming in at number 5, we have Window of Opportunity.
Oh, I love this episode.
And basically, this episode, SG-1 travels to a planet after they're told by SG-13, I think it was.
15.
SG-15, that, you know, there's an archaeologist there. He found an ancient device. So they go and, you know, the guy activates a device and they find out that it's actually a time machine, but it doesn't work. All it does is keep looping time back 6 hours continuously.
They find out that he's doing this because he wants one more day with his wife. He can't stop her death, he just wants one more day.
Yeah.
And Jack has to make him rethink, does he really want to go through that? Because, you know, his son shot himself and he didn't, you know, the guy told him he didn't know what it felt like. And Jack was like, yeah, he does because his son shot himself.
Yeah,
it's like really like heartwarming and sad because you're like, you know, like, you don't know what somebody's been through, so him saying that really pissed, you know, Jack off, and, you know, pissed Jack off, and he didn't know. He was like,
yeah, he
was trying
to the same thing.
Yeah, he was trying to be sympathetic to the guy without bringing his own feelings out, which was kind of awesome.
It's interesting. It has like a nice, heartwarming ending.
Yeah.
But it's also another one of the comedic type episodes because you know they're Jack and
Teal'c
are the only two that remember the time loop because I think they touched him one thing I don't remember.
Yeah, they were trying to stop him because when the first time they got to the planet and they were there, they saw him doing something fishy. So when the thing started going and told him to turn off and he went to, they both grabbed him and the beam light shot him.
Okay, so they're the only two who can remember the time loops. So you know they have to go back to Daniel and Carter and the General and try to explain to them that everything keeps repeating. Yeah. So in the end...
and the way they prove it is by telling them exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the briefings and stuff.
And then Daniel says that the only way to stop it is for Teal'c and Jack to actually learn the ancient language and help him translate what's written on the tablets to stop it, which is kind of funny though, because partway through, Daniel asks them why have they ever thought of doing anything crazy, since everything will just reset and they want to remember it.
Yeah, which is funny because Jack is complaining about how he's going through all this discomfort, and Tilk's like, you're not the only one. And then it cuts to a scene of a guy opening a door and hitting him, and he has to keep going through this. Yeah. Every time the day starts, he keeps going through this.
When he finally cracks somebody, he just like pushes the guy back in. And it's interesting to see what they get up to, because Jack and Tilk play golf through the Stargate.
Jack's riding bikes around.
And one of the best ones, Jack resigns just so he can kiss Carter. So that was pretty awesome. And I also love the way each day starts with Daniel asking Jack a question that he's not paying attention to.
I kind of wish they would have shown more Tilk, because they only show like
a few scenes of
Tilk, and then more was Jack. Well, with Jack and Tilk, but they also showed more with Jack, like he was trying to learn pottery. How to make pottery and stuff.
And then again, riding bikes to the base. So it kind of would have been a bit more interesting to see what Tilk was doing. And when he knew nothing there would be no consequences.
One of my favorite things too was when he kept letting Daniel get hit.
Oh yeah, he kept letting Daniel get run into.
Because he was just getting pissed off at Daniel. He was coming with this big thing of papers.
He was getting annoyed at Daniel explaining him something to understand.
He didn't really want to hear it and stuff, and he just wanted to go lay down because he had a headache or something. He wanted to go do something. And Danny wasn't letting him be, so he wouldn't tell him, or he would just keep letting him get hit. Yeah, that was funny. That's one of the episodes too where you get to see. Yeah. It's kind of funny because what if Danny was remembering? That would have been one of his worst.
You kind of get to see, like, a different side of Jack and Tilk. Not just the stoic warrior versions that we're used to. We get to see like them actually, messing about, especially with Tilk a bit. We want to see more of Tilk, but you get to see more of that.
Because he's so rigid and, just like stiff and like always saying indeed. It would have been fun to see what he was up to.
Yes. But we do get to see a little bit of that, so it's kind of nice to see a different part of that. So coming in at number 4, we have another kind of comedic time travel episode, and that is 1969.
I love
so in this episode,
I love all the episodes.
This episode SG-1 goes off on a mission, and the wormhole passes through a solar flare, setting them back in time 30 years, 69, and we see in the opening episode we see General Hammond give Carter a note, and it's not revealed until later on in the episode. Yeah. But basically they get sent back in time to 1969 during the Cold War, when it was a training facility for the U.S. military.
I really love this episode because it's awesome, because that means that General Hammond was waiting for this moment, since the only reason he joined the Stargate program and he did this and that, the reason why his life was shifted the way it did was because of what happened with this time travel thing.
It's interesting to think about that, in Children of the Gods, when that episode opens, the gate it's shut down, it's covered with a tarp, and even though Hammond's in command of the facility, basically, they're about to ship everyone out and shut it down permanently. So it's interesting to think about, even when that was going on, Hammond knew that it could not be shut down, so that event had to happen.
So it could have just been a thing where, it was a coincidence, he didn't know. But he still kept going. He was expecting this to happen. He knew it was going to happen all this time, and he didn't say anything to Carter or to anyone. He just waited out patiently for when this was going to happen. So this is kind of interesting to know that every day he sent SG-1 out on the missions, he wasn't sure if it was going to be that day.
And until he saw the cut in Carter's hand.
But every time he sent him out on a mission, he knew this was coming. So he wasn't, he wasn't sure when, but he knew.
And then, when they finally read the note, we find out that it says help them, and then it has 2 dates, which turn out to be the date and time of solar flares at the time.
It was fun to see them dress Tilk up in an afro.
Like a headband to cover his thing. It was interesting to see, basically, again, it was one of the first time travel episodes of the series. So that was, again, when that was introduced as a plot point.
One of my favorite things is that, well, I always have favorite things, but one of them is when Tilk stops the hippies they're traveling with, and he gets in. They don't actually think about the head thing because, a lot of things were happening. People were doing weird stuff, because of hippies, kind of the flower party. So there was no point to cover up because, people were marking their bodies at this time, probably tattoos or, you know, even if they weren't permanent.
They're doing hand
Yeah, or they were just doing like, you know, the peace signs and all that. So
paints,
yeah, they didn't think about it. They were just like, you know, what does this symbolize? You know, he thought he got it, you know, to symbolize some kind of like peace thing. He's like, it symbolizes slavery.
The full God.
Yeah, that was like, that was thing, because he wanted to talk about it more. And Joke's like, no, like, just don't talk to me.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, it's one episode, you know, and then in the end of the episode, you know, they do get to, you know, they meet, you know, Catherine Langford, and they do get to the Stargate, but they actually go forward too far. And this is another interesting plot point. We get to see an old Cassandra.
Yeah, which is awesome, because I would like to know how she got there. As in seeing that they brought her out.
At the end of Heroes, yeah.
What's up with that? I would like to know. I mean, because she has a device that's like the NOS.
The Stargate, yeah.
The activist of Stargate. She has a lot of technology, you know, around the gate. There's a lot of, you know, it looks like it's been closed down, but you can see that as they went, they hit a lot of technology and a lot, you know, a lot of advances happened. So I would like to know how she got there. Did she keep running the Stargate program? Because it kind of looked like there was no more humans around.
Especially if, you know, in the episode she says Carter told her what happened.
Yeah.
But, you know, that never really comes into play at all during the run of the rest of the series. And then, like we mentioned earlier, Cassandra's just written out at the end of Heroes.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3 is Tok'ra 1 and 2.
This episode is about, if we go back to earlier this season in the Line of Duty, when Carter becomes host to a symbiote. They think it's a gold. It's there to be real to Tok'ra, but at the time they don't believe her. This episode kind of continues on that, and the memories that she received from that symbiote that leads them to meeting the Tok'ra on their base world, basically.
Which is interesting about this episode, because I can't figure out if, because there's a few episodes after the one where she gets John Erner, and are they actually looking for memories on purpose, or is that episode put in the wrong order? Yeah,
because she wakes up in a hospital with like sensors to her head, or that's kind of interesting to figure out. But anyway, she sees her memories in a vision or a dream. You know, they're back in the world. She sees Martooth, and she dials an Adams and looks in a mirror and she sees herself.
She looks like she's one of the important people, because she's the only one who knows the new base. You know, where they're going to go, the new address where they're going to be dialing, because he tells her to hurry and dial it, because it seems like nobody else knows.
It's like he didn't know it.
It looks like he didn't know. It's like they only give it to specific people, which means she was pretty important, and that was kind of cool to see. And then Carter winds up looking at herself in the mirror, and she sees herself dressed as John Arnott, but it's actually Carter in the mirror. And then she wakes up, and then well, credits start. But yeah, she tells the team and Hammond that she wants to go find these people, but they're kind of very skeptical, and they don't want to. They're kind of a little. General Hammond's very reluctant to go look for them, but thankfully, doesn't Daniel he's.
It was Jack who.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I think it was Dan or Jack who gives it the sunny vote, but they finally go.
But yeah, they really want to go and see if they can find new allies, and you know, Daniel being the one who loves.
Learning. It was actually interesting with it, because this is the first time that, you know, at first, you know, you're kind of upset with the Tok'ra, because they're like, you know, well, you don't want to be a host with us, so, you know, you kind of think of what's the difference between them and the gold, you know. But
they're kind of a little hurt, because they see the humans as being disgusted by thinking of being aligned with them, by taking on a symbiote or something. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, but then you learn that they don't take hosts unwillingly. And that they're dying out because of that, so their numbers are limited. So you kind of get why they're like pushing for hosts. That's also kind of interesting to finally see, you know, the humans get their first real ally out there. You know, they met the allies already, but you know they really weren't allied at the time. That you know, like really good allies at the time. So it was kind of to see them get their first real ally in the fight against the System Lords. It's also interesting because this episode, or it's in the second part. And the first part, second part, also shows how Jacob Carter gets Selmac.
Yeah, I kind of love though how they don't force anybody, even though they're upset that the humans don't want anything to do with them. You know, like being hosts and blended. They don't force them, but they're afraid to send them back because they don't want to be compromised. Which they find out later that they have a spy in the midst of them anyway.
But yeah, it leads to Jacob Carter finding Selmac. That's interesting to see, you know, didn't just jump into
Yeah.
bam, Jacob Carter's stomach. They actually give a nice little origin story there,
Yeah.
which was kind of nice. Kind of nice to see that the character they brought on a few episodes earlier actually see a good arc for him rather than just oh hey, here's a strange military father kind of thing.
I really love because they're really like caring and tender and passionate. At least the character of Martoof, which you kind of grow to really, really like.
Yeah.
Get attached to right away because you're like, oh, he's adorable. Because he's really passionate. He's really tender. He's really nice. It's kind of different to see from, the Gould.
And it's also interesting to see how, when a human becomes a host to one of these things, how their memories and emotions mix in a way.
But they're still the same.
Yeah, they're so different people, their emotions mix, so it's kind of interesting to see how Carter has to deal with, the lingering emotions and feelings that the symbiote she was host to had for, Martoof and his host, or Lantis and his host, which was, interesting to see that conflictedness she has, her internal conflict basically that she has, whether she wanted to act on these feelings for him, or she wanted to fight them because they're not technically her feelings in a way. But all in all, it was a really good episode. I really liked it. One of the best two-parters, in my opinion, of the show. We should probably make a video just the best two-parters on.
It is one of the best, because it leaves you hanging, you're not sure. And then I kind of love the way they delve into thinking about, they became allies and stuff through Jacob, but they also, like Daniel brought up, they wanted to look into people with the same situation becoming hosts so that they weren't dying young. Which is kind of sad because they never really
explored that, which would have been nice to see explored.
And Tucker just died out, and you're like, if they explored it more, maybe they wouldn't have died or stuff.
Coming in at number 2, we have Meridian. And this episode, they gate to a world called Kelowna, and they discover that the Gould were doing experiments on the material Naquadah, which is what the Stargate's made out of, and they created a new version called Naquadria, but it's like really unstable, and they're trying to make a weapon out of it, but SG-1 wants it for shields and hyperdrive technologies. So it's throughout the course of the episode,
it'll help SG-1 make hyper windows in hyperspace and stuff.
And toward the end of the episode, we discover that the weapon they were making had a malfunction and would have killed everyone if Daniel hadn't gone in and stopped it. But in the process of stopping it, he gets a fatal dose of radiation,
which they accuse him of sabotaging it, which he did. He actually saved everybody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to see how bad Jonas Quinn feels about it, because you don't realize that he's going to be Daniel's replacement later on.
Yeah, when he comes on in season 6, joining SG-1, it's not just, oh hey, we got to replace Daniel. It's like you get the feeling that he's he wants to continue Daniel's work in his honor, his memory.
Yeah, because he feels like it was his fault that Daniel died somehow, because he didn't save his world, but a stranger did. So he really wants to, but not like a stranger, like somebody that wasn't, it's not even from that world. And he really wants to follow that. He wants to really embody being, I guess, like Daniel. Yeah. And he really wants to be adventurous. And he wants to go out and see. So that's kind of a nice arc for him. But in this episode, I love the way he just feels so responsible that he wants to help.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how he's torn between
his loyalty.
And telling a lie to protect his government. Basically lying for the greater good type situation, or doing what's right. Like does he go and help Daniel and SG-1, or does he keep lying so his government is embarrassed, so their secrets don't come out.
So that he's loyal to his people and his government.
So it's kind of interesting to see that situation with him. But in the end, when he finally does come to SG-1, it's kind of like a nice, touching moment. He kind of chose to do what's right over doing what's good for his government. Kind of what's good for his people, kind of in a way. But
Yeah, then he becomes a traitor and can never go home.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wish it would have been more than one season, because it was only there for season 6.
I know. It would have been nice if they could have. Just because Daniel came back does not mean they had to push him out.
I know.
He could have. I mean, come on, they had Vala. I mean, later down the line they have
5
members. So why couldn't he stay?
Yeah, I mean, this is also the episode that where the first time we actually see one of the main characters die. Like, not counting Kowalski again because he doesn't really count.
And it's kind of heartbreaking, because you're like, you can't die. It's Daniel. He can't die. He's like one of the main characters. Like, but then, it's not. It's kind of like heart wrenching because you really, really, love the character. You don't want to see it go. But at the same time, he's going to be out there somewhere doing something.
It wasn't, this is the episode where he ascended, so, you kind of figure that he might pop up as an ancient, or like, not really as an ancient, but the way he does in season 6.
And you're always hoping that, he would, help SG-1 more with stuff, which he does, and you're hoping that, in the future, because we don't know what's going to be coming at the time when we're watching the episode, but in the future, you're hoping that he'll pop up with cool powers, which they did.
Especially when and Abyss, when he shows up when Jack gets captured, and he shows up to help Jack. You're kind of hoping that he would, kind of go against the ancient rules and use his powers.
Yeah, which he never did.
Not until Full Circle.
Not until Full Circle,
But
which you didn't know that at the time though when you watch this episode.
Yeah.
Around.
Yeah, one thing I kind of like about it is, not about the episode, but I like how they kept the storyline going. Like, they just like, oh, he's ascended, he's going, and they never mention him again. I like how they kind of brought him back for a few episodes in season 6. But I also like how they also mentioned down the line, like in season 8's Reckoning, they just like, oh, hey, he's back now, let's just forget, everything that happened. Like Mosh was kind of doing, character goes back from dying, but they actually kind of like reference it back and like, help defeat the replicators in Reckoning 1 and 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then it's kind of awesome to see how he's thrown back as a human.
Yeah, back in season 7.
But that's kind of like way down for the line.
Yeah, the whole season later.
But yeah, but this episode's, it's kind of sad and adorable at the same time.
And even if
gives you some serious feels.
Even if Daniel hadn't come back at all, even if it was his permadeath, I think it was a good send-off for the character. It would have been, even if they never brought him back, it would have been a nice ending for the character, because he kind of achieved what he wanted to do, in all his life, he went to Stargate to learn, and then it was kind of getting all the knowledge of the universe.
Even though he didn't feel like he deserved it or he was worthy, all his friends had to tell him how they changed their lives, and I think that was really cute how they each sat by his side, even Tilk, and talked to him about how he changed their lives. And
it's kind of like saying that you always can't see what you do, like you can't always see the good you do. Others to point out for you, kind of thing. It was kind of nice.
And it was kind of cute because you're like, you're always hoping that someday maybe you have changed somebody's life like that. So seeing that for Danny was kind of cute and adorable, and it was nice, and it showed him that he was ready to ascend. Even though we're humans and he made mistakes, and sometimes we feel exactly like he does in life. He realized that it was time for him to move on. So it was just adorable.
Yeah, it was nice. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have the episode that turns 10 years old this year, and that is a series finale, Unending.
Which, I love this show. The thing I love about the show is that they had several endings.
Yeah, and there was, Full Circle was kind of like an ending, in a way.
Yeah. Which it ended stuff, but it kept going.
Yeah.
But this one, they just made it like a...
Mobius was kind of like an ending as well.
Yeah. But this one was like an ending of all endings, because it was like... If you didn't see, like, they made the Arc of Truth to wrap up stuff, but if they didn't make that, it would have been okay, because this really felt like an ending.
Yeah, because, even, the episode, when it ended and, it didn't wrap, basically the episode is, the Asgard decide to end their lives because in trying to fix their cloning issue, they accidentally create a degenerative disease that they can't cure, so they're going to die anyway. So they decide to give, SG-1 and humanity all their knowledge, and then kill themselves.
They feel like they can trust humanity now, even though they're a little worried.
And another fact, sorry, real quick, the fact that Thor finally calls humanity the 5th race,
I know, that
was kind of nice thing, like all the way back in the first season when Thor tells Jack that they're on their way to become the 5th race. And you hear that a lot, they're on the way to be in the 5th race, but finally they're called the 5th race in this one, so that's really fun to me.
But yeah, I kind of love they're kind of torn though in between wanting to give it to the humans and not, because they're kind of afraid they might destroy themselves, but they've come to know them so well that they feel that won't happen, that they're trusting them a little bit.
But it turns out that the Ori can track the human ship, the Odyssey, by the astral technology, so, instead of fighting, every time they drop out of hyperspace, they get attacked. So Carter puts on a time dilation bubble where they're stuck for 50 years, 60 years. And throughout this time, it shows how, General Landry spends his time, how, you know, Mitchell, like he's kind of, shows how he's.
Yeah, Mitchell has a hard time. He's the hardest one to accept.
Yeah, because like he's like kind of like angry that he can't do anything to get out, which is kind of interesting for the character because, you're usually he's always kind of like winning basically, and it kind of shows out how he's used to. He's used to, he's a soldier, he's used to acting, he's used to doing something to get out, not just sitting there, stuck, waiting to die.
And I kind of love how they pair Daniel Vala, which is kind of sad because they really loved each other and they had a good life.
And it just goes wiped out.
But when it's wiped out and they don't ever give each other a chance to know, that they could be together, they could love each other, that could be great. Because Daniel has this view of her and then he realizes it's wrong. But that's kind of hurtful why he has a view of her like that because of the way she acts. But I say being trapped in here gave him the chance to see that. But now, since it was wiped out, that's never going to happen. So it's kind of like a little...
Yeah, because...
It's like, oh, why?
It's wiped out because at the end of the episode, they realized that, after being there for 50, 60 years, Carter realizes that she can actually reverse time and, stop them from getting stuck in the bubble again.
Kind of love, though, how Daniel never gives up. He still tries to learn everything because... There was a scene where he says, I haven't given up, and, because if I give up, I'll go crazy. And Carter was like, well, I've given up already. So that was kind of nice to see how they all,
Yeah, how they all
interacted, how they all interacted, and how they all reacted to the situation.
Yeah.
And that kind of leaves a question. Who did Carter get with?
Yeah, because, Land, he seems like he doesn't care about it anymore, but did you go with Tilk or Mitchell?
I'm saying Tilk. Because there's, and that's really cute because I can see it because they've been so close together, they work so close together, so I can see them kind of hooking up. Because there is a scene at the end that she asked him, she said, it must be horrible not being able to tell us. And then he gives her a look, and he says, indeed. But he has that look like...
Yeah, like they were together.
Yeah, like they were together,
but he didn't special, but he couldn't tell her. Yeah. By the time the episode ends, the All Right story arc isn't wrapped up. And I feel like even if they hadn't made Arc of Truth to finish that, this ending would have been a good ending. It would have been satisfying. And even if you never knew how the conflict ended, it still would have just been good. I would have liked it.
But yeah, I don't know. This episode made you cry no matter what. I mean, as a fan, it's hard not to because that's the end.
Yeah, so that's definitely like for us, starting when we were kind of kids in '97 and following it for 10 years, growing up with it, it was kind of hard to see it end, sad to see it end.
Growing up with that and it being there, being there for us in the hard times, like that was a world we would go get lost in when things were getting tough, and it was kind of hard to see it end, but at the same time, everything needs to end. They had a good run, so.
6 years after we thought everything was over with the end of Stargate Universe, we're finally getting more Stargate, and that is Stargate Origins. And what this is a there are going to be 10-minute episodes, online only at the website called Stargate Command. It's going to be in the link. The link will be in the description below, but it's going to detail the story of Dr. Catherine Langford, and not just like the movie universe Langford, but both universes. It'll be like the origin story for both universes.
I'm kind of a little tiny bit sad it's not going to be on TV because I would really like it to see it on TV again. I'm hoping this Stargate will be more like Stargate in Atlantis than Universe. But we'll see where it goes and how it goes, and I can't wait for it.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be more like Stargate the movie than anything.
Which I really love the movie too.
So yeah, those are our top 10 episodes. Let us know in the comments below what your favorite episode is. What would you put in your top 10 episodes? What episode touched you the most? What episode did you like the most? Stuff like that. Just let us know all that in the comments below.